Well, the big change, I think, is two big changes probably. One is the maturity of the market in terms of second and third generation contracts, with smarter buyers, more experienced buyers, wanting more accountability and more from their outsourcing contracts. So seeing that's the biggest single trend. The emerging trend, I think, is around automation and robotization and a different delivery model, which we're seeing as a nascent trend in the market. But most of our clients are now preparing for or getting ready for what they see as a change to the business model. So the dominant business model in outsourcing has been a version of offshoring for the last 5 to 10 years. I think we're going to see a change away from that, a move away from that towards increased automation, people replacement by robots over time, and that'll change the way that the services are delivered and bought and contracted for, actually. Right now, almost nothing. So we see a little bit of people replacement in terms of automation of what they call swivel chair processes, where you can get a macro on steroids effectively to do what a person might have done in consolidating data, and the outsourcers have been quite good at demonstrating how that works with an empty chair, showing what a person used to do. But it's very much on the margins of what's being delivered at the moment. But there's certainly a possibility of the industry, a probability, I think, of the industry moving quite quickly into people replacement robotics, where initially moderately simple tasks will be taken over by software. And the question out there for the industry really is whether that requires process change in the traditional way, which is what we've done in the past, which is streamline and optimize processes so that they can be automated, or whether actually there's a different way of doing this, and you can actually simply replace the people with a robot and operate on the same and suboptimal processes. And that's a question which is not yet proven. I think outsourcing is here to stay. So it's an embedded business model, I think, using third parties to deliver services. Probably there'll be a move towards more outcome and output-based pricing. I don't think we're ready for that now, and I think once you disconnect the cost of delivery and the resources that deliver from the service that is delivered, we've seen relationships and deals get into trouble when that's happened. That may change with the automation, the robotization, because once you sever that link in terms of direct cost to the service output, it will be easier, I think, and more commercially viable to buy an output or an outcome. So I suspect we'll see that change. Beyond that, I think we're likely to see consolidation in the industry. So as the automation and the component becomes more important, becomes more prevalent, I think we'll see a merging of the IT outsourcing industry and the BPO outsourcing industry, because once you start to contract for outputs and outcomes, you're actually buying a chain behind that is a mixture of operations and IT. So that will change, I think, and then we may see some of the suppliers who are mostly or entirely BPO oriented at the moment may well become acquisition targets, or will merge or have to change in some way to adapt to that. For the buyer, I would say know what you're buying. So we've discussed today a lot about mismatch of expectations and general disappointment with the outsourcing industry, and we've seen that before in surveys that we've done and when we talk to clients. Disappointment comes from mismatched expectations, and the clearer you are about what you're buying, how it's going to work, what you have to do to make it successful, the less likely you are to be disappointed. So I say put the work in up front, understand what you're buying, how it's going to change, how changes in technology and other trends will affect what you've bought. So that's my biggest piece of advice to a client would be that. In terms of suppliers, I don't know. It would probably be to think beyond the contract as far as possible, and look at and try to create long-term relationships with clients beyond exactly what's being contracted for. It's a very difficult circle to square, because on the one hand, I would say to organisations, contract for what you want because that's what you're going to get. On the other hand, I would say we're in a very dynamic, changing world, and I think that it's incumbent on the suppliers who know more about this typically than the clients to manage a relationship which is beyond the contract. And I think that there's some benefit to both sides in that.